Sanibona, ngaphambi singene kwividiyo namuhla, ngithi angithathe lethuba ngibonge i-support nothando enikhombise lona lingaphezu kokucabanga kwethu. Siyacela niqhubeke nisiphote njalo ngokubuka amavidiyo ethu, ungakhohlwa ukukhomenta, ushare, ulike. Siyafisa ukuzwa umbono wakho. Sicela ke singene kwividiyo namuhla. Kulamaviki adlulile, i-MK Party kuyabhala i-statement ukuthi izofaka i-motion of censure against uMinister of Finance. Angazi noma le gama ngilibize kahle nawo Enoch Godongwana. Kwakhulunywa into eziningi base bethi cha ngoba okokuqala babethe bazofaka i-motion of no confidence. Wasethiwa no, leyo ngeke izilunge ngoba umuntu appointa uminister ngupresident, so angeke baze bekwazi ukwenza lokho. Base bethi bazofaka consensual. Namhlanje ke lifikile lelo thuba lokuthi akudebate eParliament. Into engizoyenza la, ngizocaphuna yena uMzwanele Manyi. Angizukumcaphuna uBrian Molefe, ngizocaphuna uMzwanele Manyi, ngicaphune uSinawo Thambo, ngicaphune uTroliphi we-Action SA, ngicaphune we-PA, bese ngigcina ngayo uMzwanele Manyi. Bese siyivala ngenzela ukuthi nje ngiku-update ukuthi kwenzakalani ngalolu daba i-MK Party ayithe izolifaka lapha eParliament. Namhlanje ke ama-political parties atholile ithuba lokuthi awazikhulumele lezi ndaba. Ngithi nje angiku-update ngento ezenzeka eParliament ngoba lezi zinto lezi zithinta iy'mpilo zethu, zithinta thina ney'ngane zethu. Noma singazibalelanga kangakanani kodwa isinqumo abazosithatha zizos-affect-a nathi. So ingakho ngithi angizilethe. Ngisayizibile kancane indaba kaFloyd, ngiyeza kuyo. Ngisayizibile nje kancane ngoba ngifuna ukuthi kwehle kuqala umsindo kuyo. Uma sewehlile bese nami ngiyakhuluma ngayo. Ngizokhuluma nje kabanzi ngayo. Kodwa kwamanzi ngisafuna sibuke lokho okubalekile kukhulunywa eParliament. Ngiyacela-ke ukhomente ngizwe ukubona kwakho. Ushare, ulike, ungasupporta ngokujoin i-membership, ungasupporta ngokusidonate noma ngamalini. Khona i-account kwi-comment ephiniwe. Bese-ke sihambisana. Ngicela uzwe lana.
Chairperson, we shall now proceed to the last order on the order paper, which is a motion in the name of Honorable Manye. I now recognize the Honorable Manye.
Thank you, House Chair. Greetings to all in the House. I rise today on behalf of Umkhonto weSizwe Party to move this motion of censure against the Minister of Finance in terms of Rule 124(6)(b). Let me be abundantly clear. This motion is not about the mishandling of a budget. It is about the betrayal of public trust and the constitutional dereliction of duty by a minister who failed spectacularly in the single most important task of his portfolio, to table a credible, lawful, and transparent budget. Why is this complicated? Honorable members, this year began with fiscal chaos. For the first time in the dawn of democracy, the tabling of national budget was postponed, not due to a national disaster, not due to war, but due to executive disarray. This is unprecedented. It plunged the country into uncertainty, rattled confidence in our economy, and left provinces, departments, and municipalities without guidance. Then when the budget finally limped its way through to Parliament, what did we receive? A shameless attempt to hike VAT under cover of crisis. A 0.5 percentage point increase that may look modest on paper, but in reality, it was an effective 3.3% increase. A cold and calculated cruel blow to the poor, to pensioners buying bread, to single mothers buying school shoes, to unemployed youth scraping together coins for transport. This was not just a bad policy. It was fiscal violence inflicted by those too cowardly to tax the wealthy, too compromised to close corporate loopholes, and too lazy to pursue genuine developmental alternatives. And here, House Chair, allow me to state the truth that is plain to the people, but feared in the corridors of power. Were it not for the rise of the MK Party, the African National Congress would today still hold a majority. And if that were the case, VAT would have already risen to 17% as we speak. No court would have changed that. Like no court changed the hike from 14 to 15% VAT when Mr. Ramaphosa took office in 2018. We must all remember they climbed down from the satanic 2 percentage point increase. It is thanks to the historic blow delivered to the ANC by the MK Party. Fact. The cruel engine of unchecked austerity was halted. the cavalier approach to passing bills was terminated. The MK party did not just remove a majority, it removed a blank check for neoliberal cruelty. It removed arrogance. House Chair, the MK party, we made a disgusting observation in the House when the VAT hike was first pushed through fiscal framework. We witnessed scenes of jubilation in the ANC benches and their fellow travelers. They clapped, they cheered, they celebrated what they thought was a clever victory. Thank God it turned out to be hollow, narrow, and short-lived triumph of Treasury orthodoxy over human need. The devil didn't succeed. Honorable members, what kind of party celebrates taxing the poor while refusing to touch the obscene profits of mining houses, banks, and monopolies? What kind of government smuggles in anti-poor policy under cover of confusion and then pats itself on the back? That moment of celebration was a moment of shame. The people were watching, and the people will remember this in 2026 local government elections. We're not simply dealing with policy misjudgment here. We're dealing with a collapse of fiscal and moral leadership. The minister's conduct in this process, the delays, the secretive U-turns, the lack of accountability all point to someone unfit to inspire confidence, unfit to lead public purse, unfit to claim legitimacy without scrutiny. We have lost confidence in Minister Godongwana. This parliament is the watchdog of the Constitution. We must not sit silently while the executive, and in particular the National Treasury, begins to act as if parliament is an inconvenience rather than an equal branch of governance. I therefore move that this House, number one, notes with grave concern that the Minister of Finance mishandled the national budget process, undermining the integrity, credibility, and constitutional responsibilities of fiscal governance. Secondly, further notes that this mishandling included the unprecedented postponement of the budget, creating fiscal uncertainty and public trust. Thirdly, acknowledge that the delayed fiscal framework included a deeply regressive VAT hike, abandoned only after Parliament already adopted it. Fourthly, observes with dismay that this hike was met with celebration by the ANC caucus and its fellow travelers, despite the pain it promised to inflict on the most vulnerable. Fifthly, affirms that if the ANC still had its majority, this VAT increase would have passed unopposed, and credits the sound intervention of the people, including the rise of the MK party, for breaking the back of the arrogant and anti-poor governance led by the ANC. Sixthly, assess that these events constitute a failure of leadership, a violation of constitutional principles, and a breach of public confidence. Finally, the House should resolve to censure the Minister of Finance, Minister Godongwana, for his mishandling of the budget process, and we call on this House to affirm its commitment to transparent oversight that is pro-poor and to end this unaccountable executive rule. I submit. Thank you, Chair.
Suka manje angisezukuphawula bazongena bona ngokulandelana mhlambe ngizophawula nje ekugcineni. Asiqhubeke sicaphuna sinawo Thambo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. House Chairperson, it is unfortunate that we find ourselves here today debating a compromise which is born out of legislative illiteracy. We must recall that this motion comes as an alternative to an attempt at doing a motion of no confidence on the minister, which reflects the dire state of political opposition in South Africa. Regardless, South Africa has been in an unprecedented financial crisis as a result of gross incompetence by Minister Enoch Godongwana. In February 2025, the Minister of Finance presented his first budget, which was an attempt to ring-fence us into the lack of imagination of National Treasury by saying there are three options: either continued austerity, continued borrowing, or what was phrased as strategic tax adjustments. It was admittedly the first concession by Treasury that they actually do practice austerity, and that South Africa, under the ANC, has been involved in irresponsible borrowing, which will burden future generations. Enoch Godongwana then proceeded to attempt to increase the VAT to 17%, then 15.5%, and pursued what can only be called a deceptive consultation process once he lost his attempt to increase VAT. He promised the nation consultation to achieve alternative revenue generation mechanisms, only to present a budget that removed VAT due to a court challenge by the EFF and replaced it with a fuel levy, which will be more destructive. The only certainty is that Enoch Godongwana is not fit for purpose and is committed to the neoliberal idea of privatization and austerity. Recently, he's been involved in another lie, which seeks to suggest that Operation Vulindlela has been a success and the signs of success are its transition from phase 1 to phase 2. Ironically, as their privatization program transitions, 219,000 jobs have been lost in the first quarter of 2025, and economic growth has stagnated at 0.1%. Generally, the Treasury he leads practices overestimation of economic growth to buy the confidence of markets and has revised economic growth projections from 1.8% to 1.4% in the space of 2 months, not considering that all other indicators predict below than 1% growth. Godongwana leads through chaos and confusion, and the best illustration of that is when he managed to compel SARS into the irrationality of having 2 VAT rates running concurrently. Under Enoch Godongwana, our country almost had 2 methods of taxation for food, and that is his legacy. Under Enoch Godongwana, it has become policy to abandon state-owned enterprises and to surrender critical services such as electricity, waste collection, and water provision to the private sector in order to decapacitate the state. At the center of his budgets, be it version 1, 2, or 3, has been an inability to grow the economy and create jobs. And any Minister of Finance who presides over the massive joblessness that characterizes our country should be ashamed. It is undeniable that the Minister of Finance is a failure that we are stuck with. And if he had any self-respect, he would have long resigned. It is our responsibility as South Africans to ensure the collapse of the ANC to protect future generations from the current crisis and irresponsible fiscal policy. Enoch Godongwana must go as a matter of necessity. And sadly, this debate won't assist us to do that. It is only the death of the ANC which curses us with mediocrity in finance that will rescue this country from financial ruin. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, House Chairperson. The 19th of February and 12th of March 2025 will be remembered as watershed moments in South Africa's parliamentary and fiscal history. 2 extraordinary instances, mere weeks apart, when the nation's budget was presented, debated, and untimely not adopted. The failure to pass the budget threw the country into a state of political uncertainty. The nation, and indeed the international community, watched with bated breath as legal battles unfolded and high-stakes negotiations dominated headlines. Beyond the immediate market reactions and economic focus, the broader question remains, what did these moments truly reveal? What did they signify about the leadership of the Minister of Finance, and more critically, about Parliament's ability and willingness to uphold its constitutional duty of oversight? These unprecedented events raised fundamental questions about governance, the rule of law, and the integrity of South Africa's democratic institutions. In some respects, they marked the arrival of a new political reality in post-apartheid South Africa. For over 30 years, the national budget has been presented and adopted by Parliament without serious disruption. Even when opposition parties raised significant objections, the process was predictable. However, the failure to adopt the budget in 2025 stands as the most serious political challenge faced by the newly constituted government. While the IFP fully recognizes the critical importance of passing a national budget to ensure the smooth functioning of government and the uninterrupted delivery of public services, it is equally vital that this process not come at the expense of accountability. Our institutions must serve the people, not the convenience of the executive. For many years, Parliament's ability to hold the executive accountable has been seriously questioned. Civil society organizations, political analysts, and ordinary citizens have all lamented a pattern where Parliament, rather than acting as a check on the executive, too often rubber-stamped decisions. This erosion of oversight contributed to a litigious culture where political questions were increasingly decided in courtrooms, not in the chambers of Parliament, where they rightly belong. For too long, Parliaments functioned under, I quote, a tyranny of the majority, close quote. Today, however, South Africa finds itself in a new political landscape where collaboration, negotiation, and oversight are no longer optional but essential. Parliament must reclaim its role as the voice of the people and guardian of the Constitution. The IFP does not believe that censure is warranted regarding the way the budget process was handled. While the circumstances were certainly extraordinary, they revealed the resilience of South Africa's constitutional framework, Parliament as the legislative branch and the judiciary as an impartial arbitrator, both fulfilled their constitutional roles. The message is unambiguous. No minister, including Minister of Finance, acts without constitutional constraints. It is worth recalling that the original budget presented by the Minister of Finance did include several pro-poor provisions that received broad support. These included the decision to keep the general fuel levy unchanged, shielding low-income households from increased transport costs, as well as the expansion of the zero-rated food basket to include essential like brown bread and baby formula. They were not merely policy tweaks, they were lifelines for many vulnerable households. Yet, with the rejection of that budget, those very projections now hang in the balance. The gains promised to the most disadvantaged South Africans may be lost, undermining the state's capacity to shield the poor from ongoing economic turbulence. At this new chapter of South Africa, of South African politics unfolds, it is critical that Parliament remains vigilant and grounded in its duty to the people, especially those who need it most. I thank you, House Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. The next speaker will be from the PA, Honourable Matsopa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, House Chair, honourable members, fellow South Africans. On behalf of the Patriotic Alliance, we want to address the motion of censure against the Minister of Finance, a motion we firmly oppose. While the opposition seeks to castigate the minister for so-called mishandling of the national budget process, we rise not only in his defense, but in celebration of his steadfast leadership under the immense pressure. The Minister of Finance has executed his duties with an unwavering commitment to fiscal responsibilities, transparency, and the stability of our nation's economy. In the spirit of the government of national unity, we must acknowledge that the budget process was conducted with due diligence, despite the relentless political grandstanding and obstructive tactics from certain quarters. Let us be clear, crafting a national budget in a complex, evolving economic landscape while balancing competing demands is no small feat. The minister ensured that every step adhered to parliamentary procedure, engaged stakeholders, and prioritized the needs of the people. To suggest otherwise is not only disingenuous, but an affront to the democratic process this House upholds. The opposition's allegations of eroded fiscal and parliamentary integrity are baseless. If anything, the real erosion comes from those who seek to weaponize parliamentary mechanisms for political theatrics rather than constructive debate. The Patriotic Alliance will not stand by as hardworking leaders. The Patriotic Alliance will not stand by as hardworking leaders are maligned and fulfilling their mandate under difficult circumstances. Instead of censure, this minister deserves commendation. He delivered a balanced budget that safeguards social spending, stimulates growth, and maintains fiscal discipline, all while navigating the turbulence of coalition politics. That is leadership. That is integrity. To the opposition, we say, if you have legitimate policy disagreements, propose alternatives, engage constructively, but do not undermine national stability for the sake of scoring cheap politics. Point. To the Minister of Finance, we say, the Patriotic Alliance salutes you. In the face of undue pressure, you hold the line. and partners in the GNU, we stand with you and we call on this House to reject this frivolous motion and instead focus on the real work of serving the South African people. Yes, we must stop this cheap politicking. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. The next speaker will be from the Freedom Front Plus, Honorable Wessels.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Honourable Chairperson, what happened with regards to the budget this year is unprecedented. But did it cause real hardship and turmoil as the Honourable Mani wants us to believe? We should evaluate this objectively. Uncertainty that was a result of this is admittedly never desirable and does damage in terms of public trust, especially so public trust in state institutions such as Parliament. But what could have happened could have been more detrimental to public trust if, for instance, an undesirable budget was passed and the cost of living of people and ordinary South Africans increased due to a VAT increase. What could have happened could have been much worse than uncertainty if, for instance, there was a government shutdown, if the budget was voted down during the parliamentary process. This has happened in a country like the USA numerous times. The most recent in 2018, where the government shutdown lasted for 49 days and no federal government officials were paid and all services came to a halt. This could have happened. It did not. And that would have been an erosion. What happened instead, Honourable Chairperson, is the manifestation of multi-party participation, democracy at work, and this culminated into a budget more aligned to the will of the people. The markets did not react negatively and the exchange rate remained stable despite the postponement and delays. Unlike when the Honourable Van Rooyen was parachuted in as Minister of Finance. That had a severe impact on the exchange rate and the markets. We disagreed with the Minister of Finance's first and second versions of the revenue proposals entailing a VAT increase, but we should acknowledge the economic and fiscal reality facing South Africa. The lack of economic growth is the reality which National Treasury faces whilst attempting to balance a budget that has insufficient revenue to fund the ever-increasing needs for government expenditure on social wage needs, infrastructure, and basic service delivery. This motion is misguided, as the Minister's goal was to manage this dire situation, not caused by the current government, but the blame is much better placed on the 9 lost years during the tenure of the MKP's Jacob Zuma. We can't blame the MK party for bringing such a motion that wants to reprimand the minister for embracing democracy and participation to find better solutions, because the MK party does not understand democracy or responsive governance. The MK party is a dictatorship with no place for collective voice in decision-making. The Freedom Front Plus rejects this ill-founded motion. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next person to speak will be from Action SA, Honourable Beasley. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. There can be no doubt that the handling of the national budget has been deeply flawed. What should have been a clear and credible process has instead descended into chaos, undermining both fiscal discipline and the integrity of this Parliament. However, as Action SA, we do not believe that the fault lies solely with the Minister of Finance. The true responsibility rests with the government of so-called national unity. It would be inaccurate and politically convenient to scapegoat a single individual when multi-parties in the GNU played a role in the disorder we have witnessed. Rather than supporting the GNU partners left him isolated and burdened with the blame. Regarding the budget that was originally due on the 19th of February, the Democratic Alliance and other GNU members claimed they were not consulted and the minister hadn't gone rogue and acted unilaterally. Nothing could be further from the truth. In a written parliamentary question, Action SA asked the Minister of Finance whether he consulted with his two deputy ministers, one from the ANC and one from the DA, in preparing the budget due for presentation on the 19th of February 2025. And if so, what were the details of these consultations? The minister confirmed that both deputy ministers were actively involved in a series of preparatory discussions and had contributed to drafting the budget speech. Yet when it became clear that the public reaction to the budget would be negative, the DA distanced itself from the very process that it had participated in. In doing so, they sacrificed accountability for political convenience, throwing the minister under the bus. But as we know, the truth has a way of catching up. When the revised budget was tabled on the 12th of March, the same party again attempted to leverage the process, this time holding the budget hostage over demands unrelated to fiscal matters. When those demands were not met, the minister was once again cast as the villain, accused of being rogue and inattentive. Action SA, not part of the GNU and committed to responsible opposition, took a principled and pragmatic stance. We could not, in good conscience, allow the country and its economy to be held hostage to internal GNU power struggles. We supported the fiscal framework on the explicit condition that the VAT increase would be reversed. By the time the budget was presented on the 21st of May, the GNU appeared to have finally coordinated itself. It goes, third time lucky. This, Speaker, is Budget 3.0. It is a GNU budget. It is no longer possible to shift blame. Everybody in the GNU owns this budget and must be held accountable for it. The confusion and conflict that has surrounded the budget process reflects a much deeper problem. With economic growth stagnating, unemployment rising, and poverty deepening, it is clear that the GNU lacks direction. It is a coalition bereft of bold ideas or meaningful reform. As the proverb goes, when elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. In this case, the grass is the South African people paying the price for government coalition at war with itself. To censure the finance minister alone is misguided and unjust. The entire GNU must be held to account for this mess. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Our final speaker for the day will be Honourable Manye, MK. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Very briefly, in terms of the ANC, firstly, I think the reason the ANC is dwindling like this is their inability to introspect. But we are saying it's in our favor. They can continue to praise mediocrity and they are headed for a 10%. So good for them, number one. Number two, for the MK party's submission here, I want to thank Honorable Molefe for reminding us the revenge approach of the ANC, that because they couldn't get their way, they have revenge now with the levy. How cruel can they be? For the EFF, I just want to ask my fellow friends there in the EFF to please engage their superior logic and understand that Section 92(2) of the Constitution that calls for individual accountability has got no limits. But as the MK party will make the necessary proposals in the prescripts to make it explicit that you can indeed do a motion of no confidence on a minister, contrary to a misguided popular view. But we'll clear that up as MK. The DA, I think for us, the DA just has reminded me of the apartheid nostalgia. You can see the guys are just clinging into power and the ANC is just assisting them. So they'll hang on to the ANC come hell or high water. So we understand they'll have to take anything that the ANC gives them just to cling to power, because without the ANC, the DA is nothing. So we expect that kind of an approach from them. In terms of the fellow travelers of this so-called GNU, whether IFP, PA, and Freedom Front Plus, very briefly, for the IFP, I think the IFP should be in mourning. They shouldn't be here today. They should be in mourning, and I'm mourning with them. And out of respect for Ujobe, I'm not going to say much about the IFP. I respect Ujobe very much. May his soul rest in peace. In terms of the PA, what does the PA, by the way, stand for, Chairperson? Is it Porridge Alliance? Is it Position Addicts? Or is it political acrobats? What exactly are they? Or people are just chasing grave wherever it is? So I don't think they actually said anything worth responding to.
You must clean your
Freedom
house.
Front Plus.
Clean your house.
Please do
Freedom
not
Front Plus.
interject.
Freedom Front Plus, Honorable Vessels is one of the best orators in the House. Today he was painfully reading a prepared script, and I could even see that what he was reading, he didn't believe what he was reading. So I understand you've got a job to do, Honorable Vessels, but I share your inner position on the matter. I know we're together on this, but it's fine. You got to do your job. Action SA, just want to say to you, I'm sorry that you were not rewarded
Honorable
with the
Manye.
ministerial position for all your efforts, but you tried.
Normally, unfortunately,
Yes.
your time has expired.
Thank
Thank you,
goodness
Chair.
for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That
That
was
concludes the
trauma.
debate and the business of this virtual mini plenary session. The mini plenary
Yona ke debate le ebikhona lapha noma ngingayifakanga yonke ngoba ngiyazi ukuthi iDA angiyifakanga, iANC angiyifakanga ngenxa ke yesikhathi, ngibuka isikhathi ukuthi izosuke besiba yinde kakhulu. Ngiyacela ukuza ukuphawula kwakho ngizwe ukuthi wena ubona kanjani konke lenkulumo esikhulunyiwe la. Ngingakujabulela kakhulu ukuzwa ukuthi wena ngesingawe mawusulalelile ubone uzwa kanjani njengoba bekukhulunywa. Kodwa ke yonke lento esiyenza silethe ukuthi yenza ama-choices are-right ku-ballot box. Kufanele siphume sonke siyovota. I don't care sivotela yiphi political party. Uma senze sure ukuthi sikhiphe ANC emandleni. ANC, it's been 31 years. ANC akufanelanga ibe semandleni. Uma kodwa silithanda lezwe. Uma singalithandi-ke sizoqhubeka siyivotele i-ANC. Baqhubeke babe rich bona nemindeni yabo sisale thina sihlupheka. Ngale kwalokho mina nawe sidibane kwivideo elandelayo. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.